Hello and welcome to Tailored Talent. My name is Eric Walczykowski, CEO of Bespoke Partners and host of Tailored Talent. Today I'm very excited. I'm joined by Michael Finegold and Jared Moriarty, new leaders in our newly launched industrials practice. Jared, Michael, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Eric.
Well, we appreciate you joining. Wanted to first start off with, hey, why Bespoke Partners?
Yeah, so backing up a little bit, Michael and I, both been in search for a decade plus. I've been doing this for about 12 years now. Previously spent 10 years at another firm based in Southern California. Prior to that, started as a recruiter at a smaller firm. Been in the industry a long time. We've certainly gotten many calls over the years from different search firms. Frankly, Bespoke was the first one that we truly saw as unique. From a people standpoint, but really from a processes and technology standpoint, we've always had a lot of respect for guys. So in the past, that was just kind of where those thoughts would end. However, when, frankly, we had our first discussions with you, Eric, and I talked about the idea of beginning an industrials practice through B Industrials, it was an opportunity that seemed a little too good to pass up.
No, fantastic. Michael, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I'll just, piggyback off of that. As we were evaluating different platforms, what really drew us to Bespoke was not only the investment in the people, but also the technology. As we're seeing a lot of these industries change around us with investments in new tools within AI, we liked what you guys were doing with some of the new products that you're creating in-house that we feel like are really setting Bespoke apart in the marketplace.
No, truly appreciate that. And look, our investment in technology is second to none. The ability to map the market from the top down is definitely game changing, and appreciate your perspective. Look, industrials is a broad category. Talk to me a little bit about industrials and the subsectors that you all focus on.
Yeah, I'd say, in the beginning, the work we did was actually pretty broad from a subsector and a functional perspective. It started with a lot of aerospace and defense work, both on the manufacturing and services side. The firm we came from has a strong heritage in A&D. I'm also a private pilot. I have family members in the military, so with that. But over the years, we began to focus primarily on private equity work. That expanded to then start to include just broader work across the industrial center. There's still plenty of aerospace and defense, but also building products, energy transition, a good mix of manufacturing and distribution organizations with various end users, but all within the world of sponsor-backed middle market portcos.
As we get deeply invested with our private equity clients, usually we end up working across all different types of investments within their portfolios. This has taken us into every subsector you could think of within industrials, but at the base of it, it really comes down to understanding the client and the types of personalities and leaders that they like within these companies.
No, fantastic. Appreciate that. And then true to form, Bespoke was launched and founded on this idea of focus, and you guys are focused on industrials. Talk to me a little bit about the functional disciplines that you all focus on and that you're experts in.
Sure. Yeah. So, I lead financial officers at Bespoke for industrials, as well as operational leaders. So CFOs, COOs, and then a lot within the supply chain. We do VP Ops, VP Supply Chain, VP Manufacturing. Really over the last decade, what I've been doing is working with different investors on those roles, mapping the markets and being proactive, making sure that we always know when candidates are coming off of exits, who's actionable, and who would be able to introduce quickly when we get engaged on searches.
Yeah, and I focus primarily on P&L leadership, so president, CEO, divisional presidents, and then also go-to-market roles. And for me, that's typically chief revenue officer or chief commercial officer. And then, as you know, Eric, while we lead searches, we get a lot of support from the team, and Bespoke has a very, very strong research organization. So when I'm working on a CEO search, the research analysts of the team that's supporting me is one group. If I'm working on a CRO search, it's actually a different team. And those folks are all day long living and breathing what's happening within those functions in the private equity landscape. So it's another reason why we came over here, was that specialization. And I'll tell you, we have been just thoroughly impressed, of course, with the partners at Bespoke, but Michael and I, we talk amongst ourselves a lot, obviously. And, in the first few weeks, we had conversations with research analysts and associates and principals who were so deep in just understanding the private equity landscape, what executives were about to become actionable, sharing information. It can be a Saturday morning and some of these folks are just messaging back and forth on our different platforms. Hey, heard a rumor, so-and-so might be actionable. So it's been a lot of fun and pretty inspiring.
No, that's fantastic. What is really cool and I enjoy about both of you is no job is too small or too big. And one of the things that we had talked about when you come on was really working on a couple Bespoke Partners searches so that you can take the learnings you've had in the last 10 or so years, but then also understand the Bespoke process. Talk to me a little bit about that experience.
Yeah. So, right now we've got a few searches going on. One of them is a president search with a private equity-backed defense company. This is a client we've known for a number of years, and this is something that we're recruiting on ourselves. I mean, we have research analysts that help support us, but we are personally making all of the calls. We're going out to, yes, the folks that we've been networking with for years, but also some new folks that we're able to find through the executive index and through other channels. A little bit different from what you see from partners at other search firms, where they may do the origination, sell the search, but then it gets passed off to someone else. It is Michael and I that are picking up the phone, actively recruiting, doing all the interviews ourselves. So it's been fun getting back into the weeds.
Yeah, and one of the biggest differentiators here at Bespoke is really the back channel referencing and leveraging the private equity network that all the partners know, and that has really been something that's been substantial with our clients that we brought in here. Is that we're coming in early and often with back channel references on candidates, and they're really getting a 360 view of these candidates, and it's helping move the searches along faster, but also just validate if they're the right candidate or not. So that's been a journey for us to learn how Bespoke does that, and I think we're getting a really strong feedback in the marketplace from our clients.
No, that deep validation or back channel references is definitely something that sets us apart, which is why we have the highest success rate in the industry of executives staying in chair 1 and 2 years at 98 and 95% respectively. So it's a huge differentiator. Let's turn a little bit now to the market. I think private equity new platforms has been soft in the last several years. What are you seeing in the industrial side in terms of private equity new platforms?
Yeah. So go ahead, Michael.
Yeah. So, coming into Bespoke, Jared and I have spent a lot of the time on the road, reconnecting with our investors that we've worked with in the past, as well as meeting a lot of the investors that Bespoke has worked with on the software side who have industrial investments. And, the market is definitely getting a lot stronger. We're seeing new funds that have spun out over the last couple of months. Cogenuity is one that spun out of Industrial Growth Partners. We're seeing people oversubscribing on funds. We've had multiple clients the last few weeks that were looking to raise $750 to $1 billion in capital. And I think on 3 different conversations, they all overachieved on that by a couple $100 million. We even had one where we were at lunch with a client in DC this week, and they're about to announce a $6 billion fund, and they had to turn away some of their LPs because they had too much money to deal with. So I think we're going to see a lot of investment and capital being deployed in the coming months, and it'll be interesting to see on the back end if people start exiting these businesses that they've been holding for 6-7 years.
That's a great point. I'd say so. The reality of the industrial sector, it's vast, and there's a variety of subsectors that face different challenges and opportunities at any given time. Obviously, any companies that have a lot of international supply chain exposure right now have been dealing with the ongoing tariff discussions coming from the current administration. So in some instances, that has slowed deals down a bit, but we're also seeing a lot of activity in roll-ups right now across the lower middle market in domestic services companies. This could be building services, facility services, industrial cleaning, pest control. A lot of these founder-run smaller businesses in very fragmented markets, very little technology, where there's just a huge potential to build platforms with the right capital injection, and then, of course, the right executive team executing on the strategy. So that's been interesting. And then if you look at aerospace and defense, a lot of positivity in the market. Michael and I just returned last night, actually, from a trip where we were in DC. We were meeting with both sponsors and A&D executives that we've known for a long time. And there's a lot of activity across the board. We have bipartisan support right now for a lot of different initiatives, from upgrading our naval fleet to continuing to develop new space capabilities to rebuilding missile arsenals. So there's a lot of companies in the manufacturing supply chain that are going to benefit from that.
No, that's outstanding. So, to sum it up, I think a number of new funds are being raised, oversubscribed. That should then lead to deal activity, because as we know, there's a number of inefficiencies and opportunities in businesses that private equity is very adept at seeing the opportunity to make businesses more efficient and make money. Now, that said, the lack of exits, I assume that the talent supply is very tight for proven private equity executives and industrials as it is in software. Would you agree?
Absolutely. So, a couple of things with that. One, it's important to know who the people are, have established relationships, be very dialed into who to go to. But also, with every search, we encourage our clients to say, okay, let's try to look for some variety, make the bullseye a little bit bigger. Yes, we're going to go for the folks that have that exact experience with private equity exits in this space, but also what are some other things we can look at to be creative? What are certain academy companies where, folks can operate the model similar to private equity and bring them in? Also, I'm about to be publishing a paper on first-time CEOs and, sort of the good and the bad, but we're starting to see a trend in sponsors becoming more open to that step-up candidate who's got the right stuff, still has the motivation, the fire, and the ability to come in. And sometimes those end up being the CEOs that really can hit a home run. Of course, who you do know, but also really being that problem solver with the client to make sure that they find the right solution given the market dynamics.
Yeah, I think Jared said it well, thinking creatively about going both after step-ups as well as the established candidates. I talked to a CFO that came off of an exit last week, and we were laughing. I've known her for, I think, 8 years, and she said she got 15 calls from recruiters once the announcement was made. So, you could wait for the people to come off of an exit and try to, be the top company to recruit that individual. But, at the same time, it's always good to look at the step-up candidate who's hungry for that top seat. And then, there are people loosening up, wondering if their company ever is going to exit, and they're just sick of being, they've been sick of being in a hold period for so long. The people that have been there 7-8 years, they're just ready for something new.
No, absolutely. And I think, look at Bespoke Partners, we've proven out that I believe 50% of the CEOs we place are step-up candidates, and the success ratio is exactly the same as proven because folks have worked so hard to get that chair. And so it's cool to see that we see the same thing in industrials. Talk to me a little bit about any trends you're seeing in roles in the industrial segment.
Yeah, I'll say from the the CFO side, I think that's a really hot role right now. You have a lot of CFOs that haven't done well with the tariffs. So we've had a lot of clients call us and say, hey, we need someone that can really help us mitigate our supply chain risk here. We're struggling with paying a bunch of money to China. We need to move our manufacturing, but our CFO doesn't really have that skill set. Can you get us someone? On the other end, outside of tariffs, it's already an extremely tight market. So as new platforms are forming, it's really hard to get that CFO that is coming off the exit.
Yeah, and I'd say, there's a number of them, but what I'm seeing with my team, is the opportunity to, once you are in the growth stage, to start to bring in a true CRO. So Chief Revenue Officer, often someone who is more data and analytics driven, someone who is running the entire commercial strategy, the product strategy. I think before in the industrial sector, we would see the Chief Commercial Officer title a little bit more, but now CRO is becoming more common. And that just comes with what's happening in the technology space. Even though we're working in industrial, technology, automation, machine learning, that's shaping every single industry. And a lot of these companies that are in that first private equity turn are starting to get more and more investment in technology. So bringing in sales leaders who actually know how to sell that, know how to leverage that to make the cohesive messaging in the market a little bit more dynamic.
No, that's fantastic. Well, the other thing I just love about the synergies with B Industrials and Bespoke Partners is I think, it was 20 years ago now, Mark Andreessen said software was going to eat the world. Orlando Bravo mentioned that software was going to become ubiquitous with industry. And I think that we're seeing technology in industrials, and that is an opportunity. Talk to me a little bit about that synergy between the industrials practice and then, the broader tech practice.
Yeah, that's funny how many companies you talk to, and no matter what their end user market is, they can sometimes say, well, really where we're going is becoming a technology company. Yeah, we see it. It can be everything from manufacturing operations and just bringing in more automation. We talked about on the sales and the commercial side, leveraging different AI tools for sales operations. Where Michael and I play, it's interesting because there are plenty of clients where we're talking bending metal, machine hard products, but there's also things we do on the defense side that are pretty wired into technology. And our clients will say, we need to look at people who are coming out of software. So the nice thing about being with Bespoke is really there is no other firm out there that's stronger and more dialed into strong executives in software. So we're able to start to talk to some of our coworkers on that side and make sure that we're getting the most well-rounded perfect slate.
Yeah, it's interesting as we
no, that's fantastic.
As we walk these shop floors, they've been changing over the years. Less and less people are on the shop floor as you go through it. You're seeing more robotics, and eventually, we'll be seeing robots actually being deployed into this. You're already seeing this with companies like Figure AI. Tesla has their robots going into their factories, and a lot of automation is really changing the landscape of the manufacturing facilities that our clients are dealing with.
No, fantastic. Well, look, I think there's great excitement at Bespoke Partners for the partnership here with B Industrials. I think we've got a robust market. One of the ways I like to wrap up is a fun fact. So Jared, Michael, do you want to share a fun fact about each of you that someone might not know?
How about I share one about Michael and he shares one about me?
I love it. I was going to suggest that.
Right. Michael is actually an incredible dancer. He can tear up a dance floor like none other. I have incredible videos and pictures from my wedding as well as from his wedding, but also other events that we've gone to where he breaks it down. So you want this guy at your dance party.
I love that, and I can't wait to see some of the videos.
Yeah.
Jared, he is actually, his wife is from Mexico. So over the last few years, Jared has been spending his free time learning Spanish. His father-in-law actually, only his native tongue is Spanish. So Jared is trying to get to the point where he could have a good conversation with his father. But oftentimes when I call him on the weekend, he's getting out of a Spanish lesson. So there may be a B Industrials practice in Mexico someday to be continued there.
Estoy aprendiendo, pero no es fácil.
Hopefully participating in the wine industry as well. I've had some of the fine wine produced by your family, Jared. It's fantastic.
Right. Yeah. Big wine family.
Good stuff, guys. Greatly appreciate you guys joining the show today. Look forward to having you back soon, and very excited for the launch of the Industrials practice.
Thanks so much, Eric. Really appreciate it.
Thanks.
We'll get back to work.